Welcome back to episode 18 of Just Ask Her. It has been a hot minute since we returned from Utah. You probably haven't even unpacked yet.
It's been a hot minute since we returned from Utah. We returned yesterday.
Doesn't that mean a hot minute?
No, a hot minute means a long time.
It does? I thought that meant not a long time.
No, it means it's been a minute. It's been a long time. Stop using lingo that's outside of your generation.
Okay, well, it hasn't been very long since we got home from
we got
Utah.
back yesterday, last night.
You probably haven't unpacked.
Nope, I have not. I have not unpacked a thing.
I have. I've already got my laundry done.
Mm-hmm. I'm happy for you.
No, it was a super fun trip. It was absolutely gorgeous there.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say this is probably one of the most perfect times to travel to Utah because there's snow. I mean, the snow-capped mountains were stunning.
I'm really glad we got to see it this way.
Yeah, but it wasn't hard to get around. You know,
it was like just a little bit warmer than Minnesota too. So it's like for Minnesotans, Utah was like perfect.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful. Like we could walk around outside without jackets on, which is like,
yeah,
right now you can't do that in Minnesota. It's freezing here. So
yeah. So we very much appreciated it. And
yeah,
we went there because you were invited as a guest on a podcast.
Yeah.
Which I think will probably air sometime in the next maybe 7 to 10 days.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That was kind of the impression I got. And then we did a spa day.
Yes.
Which was incredible. We went to a spa called Stillwell Spa in Snowbird. What's it called? Snowbird?
That was the resort, Snowbird Resort.
Yeah. What was the name of the town?
I don't know.
You had to drive through a canyon to get there. So it could have been a little dicey. It started to get a little icy, but not bad. And we both got spa treatments that kind of gained us access to all the other amenities at the resort. So we ended up spending 3 hours sitting in a hot tub.
Yeah, it was literally like 3 hours. I don't think I've ever sat in a hot tub that long.
Yeah. Well, yeah, to put it in perspective, we got out of the hot tub and Gracie's like, I don't feel very good. I'm shaky. And
I was super dehydrated from sitting in the hot tub.
I told Dad that and he's like, what'd you think would happen? I'm like, I know, but we stayed in the hot tub because we had met some super interesting people that were there to ski, but they came as a group and they were yacht club members from New York.
Yeah.
And it was just really interesting to kind of get to know them. There was at least one single guy who...
Lucky fella got a free profile audit.
Yep. So once he found out that you were a dating coach, he took full advantage of the opportunity and you helped him optimize his profile, which was kind of fun. Yeah, I even
got a new picture of him for his profile. This is the thing, you guys, like for anybody listening, this is why, like, if you're single, networking should be one of your main priorities to learn. Like learning how to talk to new people, learning how to make good first impressions with people, learning how to talk about being single to new people, like not being shy about those types of conversations can exponentially like help your life. Like there are so many benefits to like meeting new people, to connecting with new people, to having conversations with new people. And one of the benefits for this guy, for him being open enough to talk about how he's single and like how he's struggling with being single, like he got to work with one of the dating coaches in the industry for free. And it was a fun experience. It was really like, I was super excited to actually get to help him in real time. I work with all of my clients online virtually for the most part. And so I love getting to do stuff like that, like actually getting to meet people and help them in real time. Super fun for me. So the fact that he was willing to talk about it and made it known that he was single only benefited him. It was fun. It was really a fun experience. So we did the hot tub for like 3 hours. We also sat in what they call the grotto. I don't know what that term actually means. Do you?
I think it has something to do with the cave-like atmosphere that we were in.
Yeah.
I think.
The spa was inside of a cave that used to be for minors, right? Like for what? Gold.
I don't know.
I don't know what they were mining, but they converted this old, not minery.
Cave.
Yeah, whatever you call it, to the spa. So the grotto is actually inside the mountains, the actual cave of this resort. And it's like, it looks like a hot tub, but it feels like a warm bath.
Yeah. I don't know. It might have been hot springs. I'm not 100% sure. It's kind of smelled like
fresh.
No, I felt like it smelled like chlorine.
Oh, well, then it's not hot springs.
I know that. That's why I'm saying that. I thought going into it that it was going to be hot springs, but the overwhelming smell of chlorine made me think otherwise.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever it was nice. We just had it, the two of us, and we sat in there for like an hour or something. And then after that, what did we do? There's a relaxation room. Yeah. We had lunch there. We just like walked around in our robes all day.
Which was a little weird. Like,
not really though. Any spa resort that you would go to, you'd probably do that.
Yes, but I don't think that there's always that mix of like active skiers coming in and out of the bar, coming in and out of the
I think
restaurant.
The main place that we were at was like a ski lodge. So it was mainly skiers there, and then they have a spa at the resort.
So you do look a little out of sorts when you're sitting in a bathrobe at the restaurant.
Yeah, well,
we were told that everybody does it, so we did it, and we of course were the only ones sitting in the restaurant in our bathrobes. Whatever, it was fine. I just kind of kept myself from thinking about how weird that felt and looked outside because the view was just something else, and it started snowing, and it was, I mean, you had to like pinch yourself to be like, wow, this is so gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I so much appreciate the fact that we could do that together. So
yeah, Utah definitely takes the cake for one of the like most scenic places I think I've ever traveled to.
Yeah. And we also found
in the US.
Yes. And we also found this adorable little boutique. Not that your listeners probably care so much about this, but it was called...
Well, you know what? If you're ever shopping, if you're ever out in Utah in the Orem area and you're shopping for a sister, a cousin, a girlfriend, a mom...
I had to grab the card.
Okay. This is the place you want to send them to. It was such a cute little boutique, and it was really affordable. Most boutiques, for those of you who don't know, boutiques are like usually higher end. I don't even know if the quality is really higher end, but their prices are higher end because
at the Jewel of the West, the quality is
way take
higher
hers
end.
Out of that. Every other like mainstream boutique is really expensive, and I don't know that I've found things that are like really that much better quality.
Yeah. So this store is called the Busy Biddy, Biddy, and you can check them out at thebusybiddy.com, and you can also follow her on Instagram. And I think she said she shows a lot of her new arrivals on Instagram, because she was telling us how many people order and have things shipped to them all across the country. People who have traveled and just, stumbled across her store and now follow her. They, very consistently have things shipped to them. So
yeah, it was a cute little
plug
spot
for her. She was super, super nice. And we definitely did some damage there, which was fun.
The good thing about boutiques too is like usually boutique owners, one, they're like the sweetest people ever, but they also like really genuinely like want to help the customers because that's their livelihood, right? Like that's how they like get clientele, is by being fun people to be around. Right. And so usually when you go to a boutique, like if you're somebody that doesn't know how to shop for women and you are looking for a gift for somebody, literally say that. Like literally tell her, hey, I'm looking for a gift for my mom's birthday. Can you help me pick something out? And usually boutique owners are really good at stuff like that.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's a good point. So we highly recommend checking the Busy Biddy out.
It was super cute.
And we highly recommend Utah. We never did get to see any of the Mormon temples.
Well, you can't.
No, you can like drive past them. We just never.
That's not that cool.
Oh my God. Sorry, what you think is cool
What are
is a
we
little
gonna,
different.
I mean, we could look that stuff up online. We
wanted
have
to
no
see
idea
it
what
in
we're
person.
even looking at.
Yes, I know if I'm looking at a temple that I'm looking at a temple, and maybe I wanted to see it.
Well, if you really wanted to see it, you would have made more of an effort to go out there. So I didn't know that you couldn't go into those temples. Like, it would have been cool to go in one, like actually see it,
Yeah.
instead of just drive by one. I don't think it's that cool then.
Well, I guess the main one is under construction, so it was difficult to see. Most of the people that we met, no surprise, were Mormon.
Yeah.
And so we kind of, picked their brain as far as, which temples should we try to see? And they were like, well, there's one main temple and it's under construction. So I think that's kind of what threw us off that track. But we did get to go to, was it Swig, which is like a soda shop that also sells cookies. So it's like right up my alley.
Yep.
They also have Sodalicious. So those were the two like kind of trendy places that were made popular on the TV show Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Instead of being in like the bar scene, because they're not supposed to drink alcohol, they kind of exploit these.
Or coffee. I didn't know that they couldn't have coffee.
Yeah. I think it depends on, how devout or how much you're practicing the religion.
But like if you're a devout, what is it, Mormon?
Yeah.
Then
Latter-day Saints.
Yeah. Then you're not supposed to have coffee.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it was interesting. I felt like it was really interesting to meet so many different people and better understand that religion, because everybody we met happened to be Mormon.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you want to say? That's pretty much all we have done since we last recorded. Since we recorded the second go around last week, we only in time to post it to jump on a flight. And
right.
We just got back last night.
Yeah. Yeah. That was our weekend.
So let's jump into it. We have 3 submissions this week. The first one is called Breaking the Cycle. How do I move from early dating to a lasting relationship? I'm a 33-year-old male who has been single for the past 13 years. I work as a teacher in Canada, go to the gym regularly, and have a lot of hobbies. Almost every time I find a woman I like, she'll agree to go out with me for a few times, but things always seem to end before we reach 5 dates. This leads to a cycle where I date someone briefly, feel discouraged, and then take a break from dating for a few months before starting all over again. I've been searching for my forever person, and I really want to break out of this pattern. Last year, I deleted all of my dating apps for a variety of reasons, and even though I want to meet someone organically, I still find that I'm shy about introducing myself to new people. More recently, I dated 2 different women. The first was a fellow teacher at a different school who I got along with really well. We went on 3 dates and had a 4th planned for Valentine's Day, but on the day of, she never contacted me. The next day, she texted that she had gotten injured, and over the next 2 weeks, she slowly ghosted me. The second woman I met through a friend. We went on 1 date, and on the day of our planned second date, she asked for a few days to think about things. A week later, we talked in person, and she told me I was an amazing guy, but that she just didn't have feelings for me. To top it off, in the past week, another woman I briefly dated last year reached out and apologized for how things ended. She reassured me that I did nothing wrong and explained that she had personal things to deal with in therapy. After listening to the first episode of your podcast, I realized that I get too invested in relationships early on, imagining where things could go instead of being more realistic. I think this is also why I don't feel great about dating multiple women at the same time, even in the early stages. It just doesn't feel right to me. How do I get past this? How do I move from the early dating stages into developing an actual lasting relationship? I feel like I have a lot to offer a potential partner, but at the rate I'm going, I'll be single forever. Thanks in advance for any advice you can give.
Well, this one's interesting to me. I actually hadn't heard this one until just now because you picked the submissions this week. And as you were reading it, I was just kind of like racking my brain, like, okay, what's going on here? Because if it's a pattern, like it's happening with multiple women, then we can assume that there's probably something that needs to change on your end, probably something that we can tweak on your end to start getting you some better results here. And my first thought is, I wonder how invested he's getting in these early on stages and how much he's trying to communicate over text or like in between the dates, and how often you're setting up those first 5 dates. So in the early stages, you really want to take your time. And I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive to like getting to know somebody and building a relationship with somebody, but if it's meant to be, it's still going to be a month, 2 months down the road. So there's no reason why you need to rush those first couple of dates. And actually, you'd really benefit from not doing that. And so I always tell my clients, make sure that you're spacing those first couple of dates up, at least those 3, space those out one a week. So you're not seeing them more than 3 times in those first 3 weeks of knowing each other. And in between dates, you should not be trying to get to know her over text. So if you're meeting somebody, having a great first date, and then you're diving in, trying to get to know them a lot in between the first and second date or the second and third date, that's also where you're going wrong, because so much can be misinterpreted over text. Also, if you're like, why are you giving that much time and energy to somebody who's practically a stranger? Like, she hasn't earned that type of space into your life yet. And if you're overdoing it, it's easy to fall into some bad habits, like setting aside other things in your life for this new thing, right? Instead of like actually getting out and being social, actually going and meeting other people, actually hanging out with your friends, actually creating a life for yourself, right? If you don't want to date multiple women at once, that's fine, but still don't put all your eggs in one basket. And I mean that in the sense of like what you're doing with your life, right? Don't make your entire world about this new relationship, because there's still so much left to get to know about her. There's still so much that you have to like find out about each other, so much rapport you guys both have yet to build. And so you should still be living your life as you were doing before she came into it. And so that's usually one area that tends to get a little shaky. If this is a pattern, that tends to be one of the reasons why you are over investing too soon. And then I would say like the texting thing tends to be another one if you're over communicating too soon, because really like you should allow there to be space between the first date and the second date. And it's okay to have check-ins here and there, like maybe like 1 or 2 check-ins. If the dates are a week apart, maybe send her a message. Well, definitely send her a message afterwards telling her you enjoyed it. Definitely send another message to get the date set up. But then beyond that, I think 1 to 2 check-ins is plenty between the first and second date. And so if you're doing anything more than that, if you're texting all day, every day from the first date to the second date, you're already screwing it up. So
yeah, I think the motivation behind that is like this need to prove yourself. Those early on dates, especially when there's a lot of communication, you have to kind of assess whether you're doing that to prove, your worth, versus trying to like better understand who she is. Like, I think it's less about proving and more about observing, like, who is she? Do I, actually like her? Is she emotionally available? Those are all the things that you want to better understand as a result of those first few dates, versus feeling like you checked all the boxes and proved to her who you are.
Yeah.
And then I think you asked about, the ghosting or the rejection, and you did nothing wrong. When somebody ghosts you, or am I using that term correctly?
Yeah.
doesn't get back to you, I think that that's of course tough. Rejection is hard. We've said this before, that rejection is often God's protection. And if you choose to look at it that way, I think you're going to find what there is to learn about yourself, about other people. But you are obviously a very kind and reliable, and you're upfront. But the truth is, you didn't do anything wrong. And that doesn't mean that you can't learn something about your approach or about the way you handle the first few dates and tweak it. So I want you to not have any shame around the rejection, but I also want you to be open to what could I do differently.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you said it yourself. You have built a good life for yourself, right? You have a good job. You take care of yourself. You have a lot of hobbies. So I think the biggest thing for you is finding a good balance when you start dating somebody. Your life doesn't get put on hold because you hit it off with somebody on a first date. You need to keep yourself in check with that. Keep doing the things that you love doing and balance it out with getting to know her at a healthy pace.
Yeah.
That will probably dramatically shift this pattern that you've gotten yourself into.
Yeah. I think emotionally healthy women who are also looking for a connection, they're going to be a little wary of the man who seems too eager too soon.
Well, yeah, they're going to be like, what, does this guy not have anything else going on in his life? Does he not have other things to be doing other than sitting at his phone waiting for all my texts?
Yeah.
Or even worse, hounding me over text,
right?
Like overdoing it and sending 3 texts in a row because she hasn't responded to the first one.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the whole reason why we're bringing that up is because this could be the case that you're not even aware of, but she may be feeling that way. So,
well, and it always comes from a good place too. Like everybody's been there where you've gotten really excited and you dive in head first and put all of your time and energy into someone you just met, but you got to bring yourself down to ground level here and like put things back into perspective, because if you're doing the things like over texting or sending multiple texts in a row when she hasn't responded to the first one, those are things that tend to turn women off. They tend to send women the other direction because it's a lot of pressure to put on someone that you just met. And so allow it the space to grow in a healthy way, right? Allow it the space for the two of you to actually get to know each other without the pressure.
Yeah. And I would challenge you to reframe that thought around having to start over, kind of that rinse and repeat cycle that you think is going on.
Oh my God, I used to do that. I used to be like, well, back to the drawing board.
Right. And that's not helpful.
No.
Right? Because that kind of insinuates.
It makes you feel defeated.
Yeah. Yeah. But in reality, you're learning every single time. If you're open to it, that becomes the season in your life where you're building endurance and discernment, and you're learning how to pace.
You're learning how to pace. You're learning new things about yourself and what it is that you're looking for in a partner. I always tell this to my clients that, a relationship ending does not take away from the fun experiences that you had while you were in it. Just because it didn't work out doesn't mean that there was no purpose to it or that it was a waste of time. And so if you can get yourself out of that mindset, in dating especially, it will change the way dating feels as a whole.
Yeah.
You'll actually be excited about the next one rather than dreading the next one.
Yeah. And think of it almost like the reps of lifting weight or going to the gym. Like right now, you're putting in the work ahead of time. You're doing the reps that will make your eventual relationships so much stronger.
Yeah.
So I think you're also doing it with a level of thoughtfulness that a truly ready woman will find so refreshing. So keep doing what you're doing. I think there's just some minor tweaks. I think making sure that you're grounded before you go into your next first date. Like before that date, remind yourself that you're not here to prove that you're enough. You're here to see if you two are a good fit, if there's a connection. Start small. Like don't get too far ahead of yourself as far as thinking about this relationship and where it's going to go and what it could be.
No future tripping.
Yeah. No future vacations.
What is that?
We should, like, instead of a staycation, it's like a futurecation.
Oh. What?
Never mind. I would also say, don't forget that your worth is not tied to how someone feels.
About you.
Yeah. Like a no from her isn't a verdict of your value. It's information about the fit, about, whether or not you two are a good fit. And so, and
I think that if you can get behind the fact that you're not supposed to be a good fit for everyone, just like not everyone's supposed to be a good fit for you, that also makes that like more believable, and it makes it easier to like get behind. Like it literally means nothing about your worth. It means everything about the fit. And just because you guys aren't a good fit doesn't make either of you bad people, or doesn't mean anything negative about either of you. It just means that this wasn't the one, and that's okay.
Yeah. And you are not too late. You are not broken. You are
33. You're in your prime, my guy.
I was just going to say that. Like, you're in your like prepping phase.
Yeah.
Like this is just the middle of it.
Yeah. This is a fun era for you.
And honestly, you are doing everything beautifully. Like there's just some minor tweaks here. So I think you're emotionally available. You're very self-aware. You're ready to show up fully with someone. Like all of that is what the right woman is going to love about you. So keep doing that work, keep showing up, keep holding space for the kind of relationship that you are looking for. I don't know. I don't think there's any more advice that we could give him. I think it's just some minor tweaks.
Yeah.
So we would love to hear back from you, and we would love to know if any of this advice sticks and results in anything.
Yeah. Good luck. We're rooting for you. Okay. So the second submission we titled "Struggling to Get a Text Back After a Great Night Out." Uh-oh. Hey, Gracie, I just started following your Instagram and your content is awesome. Thanks so much.
Hello. Did you forget about her mom?
He just started following. He hasn't met you yet.
Nice to meet you.
Okay. Over the past few years, I've been really stepping into my true self. I'm a pretty outgoing guy, can be extroverted when the energy matches. Sometimes I even go out to bars by myself just to dance and hopefully meet someone. I'll give myself a pat on the back. Most times I'm able to get a girl's number. It usually feels like we hit it off, and I'll throw a lighthearted joke, "Can't wait for our first date," just to show that I'm interested. The problem is what happens next. I usually text her the next day saying it's great meeting her and I'd love to see her again, but then nothing, no reply. It's frustrating because it happens often, and I'm just a guy looking for a genuine connection. I'd really love to find someone I can date and eventually call my girlfriend. Any suggestions or critiques? Thanks.
I kind of love him because even
though he doesn't know you,
even though he didn't acknowledge me, I still kind of love the fact that he goes out and especially goes to like places to dance by himself, and that he is confident enough and like enjoys himself. He enjoys being out even alone. Like that is unique. And I think there's something special about that. I think that is a great mindset to be in. I
would just check the quality of the places you're going. I think I think, yes, it's great that you are so comfortable going somewhere on your own and enjoying yourself no matter what. That's huge. That is a really, really great quality to hold on to. But let's start doing that in other places that would make it easier for you to meet women that you would be interested in, that would also be interested in you, right?
Yeah. And with that being said, I also think that bar energy isn't necessarily real world energy.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, when you are kind of in that high of like good music and dancing and shared excitement
and alcohol,
things can feel magnetic. And then when all of that fades, it's like you kind of gain some clarity.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's just a lot of unnecessary barriers that are being put up in your way if the only place you're meeting women is out at bars, because of all of those things you just mentioned. And girls are usually out with their friends, looking to have a good time, looking for nothing serious, like wanting to take shots and get drunk. And like, drunk girls are probably the worst girls to try to connect with or get their numbers, or not because they're bad people or like anything along those lines, but because of the state that you're catching them in and the place that you're catching them in. Usually women are not going out to bars to find their forever person. And so I see this happen so often. And this was actually a recent previous episode where guys will go out, they'll buy girls drinks, they'll get their number, and then they'll never hear from them the next day. And it's because you are like kind of playing in a false reality, right? You're putting an incentive in there. You're in a setting where she's not always in her regular frame of mind. So it's just a lot of extra obstacles that you don't necessarily need. And like I said, I think it's great that you can go out and do stuff like that, but let's do it in another setting where you don't have all these obstacles standing in your way.
Right. So I think you're doing a lot right. I think there's just a little bit of tweaking. So one, let's add some new environments that you can start frequenting.
Yeah. New social places.
Right. And then I would also maybe rework your follow-up, because it's probably a little on the generic side. You know, if you're using kind of that same line over and over and over, like, hey, great meeting you last night, and I'd love to see you again.
Most of the time she's probably like, who is this?
Right. Especially if she's had a few.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, that's polite and it's fine, but it's definitely not going to grab her attention.
Yeah.
And especially if she has had a few, you want to add some significance, something that's really going to, you know, conjure up a memory of who she might be talking to.
Yeah. So always start with your name. Always say, hey, her name. Hey, Jess, it's Greg from the bar last night. And actually say the name of the place where you guys met, especially if it was a bar, right? Anything you can do to like help her jog her memory of where you were, how you guys met. And then I would also say, if you can call back to something that you guys talked about in your conversation, that is also going to help make you stand out, especially if you can be playful with it, right? Like, hey, Jess, it's Greg from Brothers bar last night, the one that kicked your butt in darts, right? Like something like that calls back to why she should know who you are, maybe a conversation that the two of you had, and then you can have the line like, it was fun chatting with you. I'd love to take you out for a drink, or I'd love to buy you a drink, or I'd love to take you out to dinner. I'd love to kick your butt again in something else, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a way of being playful. It's a way of being, you know, adding some personality and being memorable.
Yeah.
And offering an invitation to the next date too. So yeah, I think that's perfect. I would also say that if she doesn't respond to that, I would probably make it your best practice to not text again. One text.
Oh yeah. No, it's not worth it after that. Like if you have reached out and you sent that message and you don't hear anything, I don't think it's worth a follow up. I don't think it's worth sending another one and trying to get her to respond. She likely saw it at that point. So it's definitely not worth a follow-up in this case scenario. It's definitely best to just move on.
Yeah. And I would also say, like, being intentional about your entire approach. You're not doing this for like casual attention. You're showing up for real connection. So that means not getting discouraged when someone doesn't match your energy. Remember, this is your way of filtering. Like, this is not a fail when they don't get back to you. You've now just filtered her out because you're on the mission looking for the person that could be your forever person.
Yeah.
Right. And so there needs to be a lot of filtering happening. Every no response is one step closer to the woman who is going to text back. So I think you're not too much. You're just waiting and filtering through the women who you're not meant to be with. So keep dancing, keep watching Gracie's Instagram posts, keep leading with the joy and the authenticity that it sounds like you have.
And then start finding better places that you would actually enjoy being in, that don't involve alcohol or a night out with all her besties that she might not remember.
Right. Yeah. So keep us in the loop and let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
All right. And so for our third submission, should I reach out to the one who I let go of too soon? Thank you so much for the advice you give to the guys on the show. It's really helpful. Lately, I've been thinking about reaching back out to a girl I broke things off with last summer because I believe I ended things for the wrong reasons. Her name is Gabby. We went on 4 dates, and while I didn't feel the spark, we had great chemistry. I felt very comfortable with her, and I saw her as a high-value partner. At the same time, I was also seeing another girl named Emma, who I thought was a better match for me at the time. I ended up ending things with Emma a few months later, and since then, I've had little to no success in dating. I've gone on a few dates with other women, but things always seem to fall off after 2 to 3 dates. When I ended things with Gabby, I left her a voicemail. I can't remember exactly what I said, but I told her I didn't think we were a fit. I think I was respectful, but I never heard back, and I'm pretty sure she was hurt by it. After reading How to Not Die Alone by Logan Ury and listening to your podcast, I've realized I may have walked away too early from a good potential partner simply because I didn't feel that initial spark. I'd really like to reach out to Gabby and be honest about what I've realized, that I made a mistake and that I've done some work on myself since then. But I'm unsure how to approach the conversation. Would it be better to send a longer, thoughtful text explaining everything? Or should I keep it brief and try to set up a time to talk in person? I want to be respectful and give her the space to process it however she needs, but I also want to express myself clearly. Thanks again. I appreciate any guidance you can give.
Ooh, this is a good one.
I thought so too.
Yeah. I think, okay, first couple things. So I don't think it's wrong to date 2 girls at once when you're not exclusive with either of them. Okay. So it sounds like you actually were handling this in a good way, in a respectful way, by not continuing things with Gabby when you had a connection with Emma and you wanted to explore that connection with Emma. And so like, for starters, I want you to give yourself credit for that, because I think that it actually was the respectful thing to do, to end it with her. Now, how you ended it with her, I don't know if that was necessarily the right way to go about it. I think I would need a little bit more context on your guys's relationship, but 4 dates is a good amount, right? Like, that potentially was about a month that you guys had been seeing each other for. And at that point, I think somebody does deserve at the minimum a like real time conversation. I don't think somebody deserves a text message or a voicemail to read or to listen to. I think that is, I can understand why you maybe didn't get a response from that, right? And so I also don't think it hurts to reach back out, but I wouldn't reach back out, sending her a long paragraph over text, I think that's probably the last thing she wants from you. And so if you're going to reach out, I think we correct the mistake from the last time, and you either send her a very like minimal text saying like, hey, who it is that's texting her. And then I would just say, I know we didn't leave things on a great note, but I would love to see you again. I would love to buy you a drink. I would love to catch up, right? Any of those things, honestly, keeping it more casual than not is the best way forward, in my opinion. And then when you're actually out with her, when you're actually on the date, then you can explain yourself. Then you can give her the explanation that you feel like she deserves.
Yeah. I too think that you definitely should reach out if your motivation is sincere, which it sounds like it is. But for anybody else who's listening, who can kind of relate to this situation, you want to make sure that your reach out is not driven by dating frustrations or loneliness.
Yes, this is a really good point.
Yeah. I think from his message, it sounds like, neither of those are true. I think
kind of. He did say, didn't he say that he...
I mean, he's not reaching out to necessarily only get her back. Like, I think he's interested and wants to see what could come of it. But I also think he's reaching out to take accountability and invite a conversation as long as she's open to it.
Right. That is, yes, I agree with what you're saying. You do say I've had little to no dating success since Emma. And so it's reasonable to like check in with yourself here and see, am I reaching back out to Gabby because I'm feeling lonely and she once was an option? Or am I reaching out to Gabby because now that I've had time to reflect on it, I can see that there were a lot of things that we aligned on, and I might have made a judgment too quickly about if we could have built the chemistry. I think that those are the two things that you should definitely be checking in with yourself on, because if it's that you're feeling lonely, that's okay. I think that everybody's been there. That's why most people contact their exes, because at one point they were an option and it feels like an easier option than putting themselves out there to a new person or trying to build a relationship with a new person. So you're not alone in that if that's where you're at, but just be honest with yourself. If that is where you're at, if you are just doing this because you feel lonely or you feel like you haven't had success in dating for a while, then no, it's probably not a good idea to open the door again to something that you knew in the first place you wanted to shut.
Right. And there's always the possibility that, she won't respond. And again, that doesn't make you wrong for reaching out.
Yeah.
The goal here isn't controlling the situation, it's gaining clarity.
Yeah.
And so if she's open to revisiting the connection, that's amazing. But if not,
and you'll know.
Yeah. And if not, you've shown lots of growth, you've shown integrity, and you've also gained some closure.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a win either way. Now, if she does respond, I think don't also expect for it to be super kind. yeah. She might tell you exactly what she thinks of that voicemail.
She might come back with, it might have taken everything in her not to give you a harsh response to that voicemail.
I would say let it be slow and kind of a respectful rebuild. I don't think you necessarily have to rush back into apology overload. I think listen a lot. You can, of course, ask questions. Let her share how she feels. Then be that new version of you that you are wanting her to see.
And also be honest about the past situation. Don't try to make excuses for what was going on. Like, you can be honest about the fact that, you know, you were exploring connections at the time and there was somebody that you felt you had a stronger connection with and you really wanted to give it a fair shot. And so at the time you felt like it was only right to end things with Gabby. And now reflecting back on it and seeing how much you guys had in common, you really just wanted to reach out and see where she was at and see if she was open to exploring things again. And I think any girl, even if she is hurt, I think if she's interested in the slightest, she's going to have a lot of respect for you for just being honest about what things were at the time and how the situation unfolded, because she probably also had a lot of questions. Depending on what you said in that voicemail and how open you were in that voicemail and how honest you were in that voicemail, she probably also had a lot of questions that were left unanswered, being the fact that you guys never had a conversation to end it.
Yeah. So I think second chances they only mean something when there's growth attached to it. And so you've shown exactly that. So I think you definitely should reach out, but not with the goal of winning her back. I think it's with the intention of being someone she'd want to come back to. Yeah,
absolutely.
And no matter what the outcome is, you've already broken that old pattern. And so that alone is worth celebrating. So we are in your corner. We're rooting for you, and let us know how it all shakes out.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, that concludes episode 18.
Yeah. My favorite number. This has been a good episode, I feel like.
Yeah.
I liked all the topics a lot.
I picked all 3 of these.
You did pick all 3 of these. I really didn't read any of these. That was my first time hearing all of it. And so.
Yeah. Well, you did great giving solid advice, my dear. All right. Well, until next week, take care.